This video is one of the highly requested videos. Can my part-time income pay for my school fees? So the answer to this question is hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Akunna, a Nigerian living and studying in Japan. So on this channel, I talk about my experiences in Japan, life abroad, and life lessons in general. So today guys, this video is one of the highly requested videos, especially since I uploaded my last video about cost of living in Japan. If you haven't watched it, I'll put the link up here. So guys, this question people have asked me a whole lot of times. They're always like, can my part-time income pay for my school fees? So the answer to this question is, well, I don't know. But I'm going to be as sincere as possible to you guys. So let's get started. But before I start, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button. Thank you. So the truth is, if you're coming to Japan as a student, your work permit is going to be 28 hours per week. That is 112 hours monthly. Which means that in a whole week, you're likely to be working 4 hours daily. That's if you want to work the whole days of the week. Or maybe 3 hours daily and much more on weekends. So let's break this down. Where I live in Tohoku region, the average hourly pay for part-time job is usually between 800 yen to 900 yen. So let's assume you're earning 850 yen per hour and you're going to work for 28 hours in a week. So that means 850 yen times 28 hours times 4 weeks in a month. That is going to give you 95,200 yen. This is taking the median value, which is 850 yen. So let's assume you're earning up to 900 yen. It would be 900 times 28 times 4, which will give you 100,800 yen. And then let's further break this down. So here in Japan, luckily the national universities have the same tuition fees, which is 535,800 yen. And this will be paid in 2 semesters, not the whole amount, don't get shocked. So 535,800 yen split into 2 semesters means you're paying 267,900 yen per semester. So if you're earning roughly 95,000 to 100,000 yen a month, how are you going to cater for your cost of living and then pay your school fees at the end of maybe 6 months? That's once in 6 months for the 2 semesters in a year. So how do you pay for this? I mean, it's practically impossible, guys. It's practically impossible. And then let's assume you're living in Tokyo, where people earn more, and they earn between 1,000 yen to 1,200 yen. This is on the average. People earn lesser. Some people might earn maybe slightly above 1,200. So let's work with 1,200 as the maximum. So you're earning 1,200 times 28 hours times 4 weeks. It's just 134,400 yen. So it's not even close to the amount you need to pay for a semester. It's still far away. You still need a whole lot to meet up with that. So that makes it practically impossible for you to pay tuition fees just from your part-time earnings. It's not possible. But it's possible in a way if, so this is a clause right here. So luckily, you can apply for tuition waivers in universities. So in my own university, I'm using mine as an example. You can apply for tuition waiver maybe a month before the new semester starts. And if the semester is starting in October, which is the second semester, you're supposed to apply for the tuition fee waiver by September. So if you apply in September, the results are usually announced in December to be paid in February. Let's assume in December, results comes out and, oh, luckily for you, you get a 50% waiver. That means you're going to be paying 50% of 267,900 yen, which is 133,950. So this is practically feasible with regards to the fact that you should have been saving. That's if you've been very prudent with your expenses. You should have been saving to meet up with this. That means for you to pay this, you should have been saving at least roughly 20,000 yen per month for 6 months before that. So let's assume you've been saving 20,000 yen for 6 months. That means you have 120,000 yen. You're still shortfall of 13,150 yen. Well, you can always sort that out. But you know, you need to be very prudent to save up to 20,000 yen per month. If you're earning maybe roughly 100,000 yen and you don't have any scholarship or any stipends, it might be difficult for you to save 20,000 yen monthly for you to meet up with this. So in this case, you really need to have other source of income. So how do you solve this? without exceeding the 28 hours per week that the immigration gives you. So one way is to find jobs within the school university. So I came to Japan as a non-scholarship student. I came as a privately sponsored student or privately financed student. So when I got to Japan, up till now, I haven't really done any off-campus jobs. So most of my jobs were within the campus. So I started off as a teaching assistant. And in my university, as a teaching assistant, you earn 1,300 per hour, which is the highest you can probably earn in the whole of my area. So the university pays much more than what people pay outside in other smaller jobs. So that makes it a bit easier for you to save and then pay your fees. That's if you are lucky to obtain a 50% waiver. But if you obtain maybe just a 10% or a 20% waiver or 0% waiver, guys, it's impossible for you to do that. So other ways people do is to find maybe things that they can do on their own at their own private time, like teaching English. So what people do sometimes is maybe offer online classes or in-person classes. Before COVID, people do a lot of face-to-face classes where the foreigners teach people English. But in this case, you have limitations. If you're going to be teaching a beginner English language, that means you have to know some Japanese. And if you're coming to Japan for the first time, there are chances that you do not know enough conversational Japanese to teach someone English. Because in this case, if you need to tell someone that bye is sayonara or mata ne is see you, you definitely need to know some Japanese to be able to translate to English what you want to say. So you need to know some Japanese in this case. So this is a limitation. But if you're lucky, maybe before coming to Japan, you studied some little Japanese that can help you at least communicate. This is another way to handle that. So these are the other options that people use. You either find a job inside the university that pays much higher, and then you do some private lessons. And then also teaching English language in some cases also pay higher than 1,000 yen. In some cases, that's if you're in Tohoku region. Maybe if you're in places like Tokyo, your prices might be higher. But here in Tohoku region, it's usually 1,000 yen, 1,100 yen. But another time that people earn money is during summer breaks. You can work for more hours, maybe up to 8 hours a day. But don't quote me on this because you still have a limitation of about 40 hours per week during these breaks. And then you really have to verify with the immigration office to be sure that you're allowed to do this. Because in most cases, if they find out that you're working more than 28 stipulated hours, it's either the employer is punished or your visa might be revoked. So you just have to be very careful on this. But 28 hours is the mandatory hours you should not exceed. And this 28 hours means on the total number of jobs you're working. It's not like 28 hours for one job and that's 28 hours for one job. No, all the part-time job you should be doing shouldn't exceed 28 hours per week, because it is understood that the sole purpose of you coming to Japan is to study. So you should be focused on your studies, and the little time you have shouldn't really be spent working. It should be spent like maybe relaxing or doing more research than working. So the idea is to limit you to an extent where you're actually focused on the main thing that brought you to Japan, which is your studies. So this is why I always advise people to come through scholarship, because it's almost impossible for you to work, earn for your cost of living, and also earn for your tuition and do well in school. It's a very hard life to balance, but some people do it. Some people are able to cope or manage, but it's not usually the best. I've tested both sides. Coming to Japan, I didn't come on scholarship. I came as a privately financed student, and I knew it wasn't quite easy to meet up with the demands. But in my case, at least I was getting remittances from home, so my earnings were basically for my cost of living. I didn't earn to pay my tuition. My tuition was paid directly by my sponsor. But now that I'm receiving stipends, I'm very relaxed. Like, I don't really have to bother myself so much to work in order to make ends meet. I just focus strictly on my studies, do my research, receive my stipend at the end of the day, and settle my bills. So that's it, guys. I always advise people to come through the scholarship route. Or if you probably come as a privately financed student, work so hard so you can be able to get a stipend at the end of the day that will cater to your cost of living and your tuition fees. And in most cases, when you receive some stipends, they mandate you not to do other jobs because they believe that your stipend should be able to take care of your basic needs. So you just have to be very careful. If you're receiving a stipend, you focus on your studies, do the research, because also your stipend is also renewable, probably based on your performance and the progress of your research. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment below, and subscribe. Thank you.